possibly being live that makes me nervous. And I didn't want that to manipulate the things that came out of my mouth today. You know,
okay.
I'm all with this authentic conversation theme that you've kind of alerted me to, because while I've always thought I was authentic, I was saying to you the other day, right? Like, it's not like I was ever not authentic, but I think that when I was active in business and when I was sort of at my peak, it was very difficult not to be with not to be without layers. So there's a difference. It's not like I wasn't authentic, but I found it really, really difficult not to put on layers for people.
Yeah.
So no, it's really good sort of coming back in this light, like completely just raw, authentic. I'm glad we're starting out this way.
Awesome. So you're not live, but I am recording now, and I don't intend to edit it because that's way too much work. Good. So, so I love that you just said that as the recording. It's probably may not have picked up everything that you said, but just before I go into how I wanted to ask you some questions, I love that you've said that, because I actually listened to a podcast this morning whilst I was out for a run/walk, and it's interesting the different layers that people think authenticity is. And it's just my perspective is to have no layers, but at the same time, it was this lady, Glennon Doyle Melton, who I'm obsessed with at the moment. She talks a lot about this stuff because she wrote a book called Love Warrior, and it's all about her relationship. And she's like, you know, how far do you go in this whole space of authenticity? And she said something really interesting, which I think is relevant to what we do. And she said, because she wrote this book all about the challenges from her marriage, and she said two things that I thought were completely relevant to this conversation. And she said, one is that it's healthier, and what she thinks, you know, people to write from the perspective of their scars instead of their open wounds, which was amazing. And I feel like whilst it's all still quite fresh for you and you're only just thinking about possibly coming back into business, you know, you're on the other side of what's been a really challenging period, which I think is awesome. And I feel the same. But she also said something about, I can't remember who it was she was talking to, but she said, it's easier to go out and save the world than it is to clean up your own shit, or clean up or have really amazing relationships in your life. And I think that's so true, because we hear about, you know, making a difference in the world and making an impact. And I think that's really seductive in this industry, because you can 100% go out there and make an impact and make a difference in people's lives. And I think it's safe to say that we both have in the businesses that we have and the people that we've attracted. However, a certain responsibility comes with that as well, or we tell ourselves that there's a responsibility with it. And then it all starts to go a bit like, it can unravel into like, how authentic am I being? And I've still got my own life. And that's kind of what I love about this particular business model, is that as an affiliate for something, you can turn it off and turn it on, which is what we've both done. And it's enabled us to deal with what we've been through.
Well, a little bit about what happened. Like, all of it's been coming back ever since we started talking, you know.
Right.
I've been out of the game. Like, I've been completely away from the business for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Just dawned on me now. Like, it's just hit me now how long ago that was. Time has flown so quickly, but I do remember very specifically when this is prior to Mum passing away. Mm-hmm. Things had already started to get quite difficult for me in business, and not because of the results. In fact, I think, you know, I got to a point where I'll just start talking now. I don't know who's watching and what they know of my journey. I don't know, but it got to a point where multiple 5-figure months were no longer, like, it was no big deal anymore, right? So at that point, I had been speaking to Stuart a lot about how to move forward and really take my business to the next level. And we started talking about all these things I could do to really elevate my business. And it just all got too much. I think I hit my financial ceiling or my financial thermostat was about to explode or whatever, because it was at that point where I started to get really overwhelmed. I felt the pressure of having to be and having to put my best foot forward all the time. And yeah, I started asking myself, am I still authentic like this? You know what I mean? Because I I was evolving into this person who people, particularly in our community, knew, potentially following, and I felt the need to be at a certain. I felt the need to behave in a certain way, and I questioned whether or not I was still being authentic. Does that make sense? It was really difficult to give myself permission to be vulnerable. It was really difficult to give myself permission to look like I was not feeling as great as I really was, feeling as great as I should have been feeling, having been getting all those results. I felt guilty. Like, it's funny, I used to feel guilty showing that I wasn't happy because I was worried that people would be thinking, oh my God, aren't you grateful? Like, you ungrateful person.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, think about us. You know what I mean? Like, look at us, we're all struggling and you're doing so well. How dare you not be happy with your business and how you're going? But it all became so very overwhelming that, yeah, I switched off just like you did. That's exactly what happened, really. It all got too much. I had things happening in my life. My mum passed away. My son got re-diagnosed with a more severe level of autism than what he had originally been diagnosed. I was diagnosed with some health things as well, which I'm doing my best to manage now. Mm-hmm. But everything got so overwhelming, and yet I felt the need to portray this facade, and it really made me question my authenticity. And I really think that's the reason why, Amy, you reaching out to me and you and I speaking as of late is the thing that's been the catalyst to me actually getting up in front of a recording. You know, I haven't been on a video for 3 years, more than 3 years. So this was really nerve-wracking for me, but I think that your pull on me was the most powerful. I know that I had a lot of people reach out to me in Facebook and say, hey, let's catch up. How are you? I'm really worried about you. What's happening? You know, whatever it is you're going through, let me help type thing. But none of them really, I'll just be really honest right now, none of those invitations really moved me enough to get me to take action and to get myself out of the rut that I was, because it just didn't resonate enough with me. But you, after having spoken to you for the last few days or however long we've been talking, it's this entire thing about authenticity that really brought me out of it. Am I even making sense?
100%. And the rest, like, totally. And like, first of all, thank you. Like, I didn't intend to get to this part of the conversation immediately, because for anyone who doesn't know you yet, I was kind of, and we can easily go back to it, like your journey and how you found SFM and what came next. But this is what essentially came next, right? And when you detached a little bit, and I completely makes sense, because that's exactly what happened to me. And I think what's so valuable in sharing this with the community and people outside the community who have other stuff that they get started with, whether it be fitness or a new relationship or anything in life, that you start off on this gung-ho excitement, and when that peters out, there's no consistency because life happens, and there's every reason. But that's why this business, and it's not a plug for the business, it's just it is a gift in the sense that it's not your responsibility, and it's perfectly okay that it's not your responsibility, but it's just a journey you go on. And there's so many different definitions of leader. I think what we connected over recently was I so distinctly remember you saying to me, or on a call with 3 or 4 of us, and it was just before you were kind of, I don't want to say on the way out or on the way down, but it was at the beginning of everything you're talking about when you were feeling these challenges. And I will never forget the fact that, you know, I was very much just getting started, and I was like, come to Sydney, or no, Melbourne. And I was like, you'd been all over the leaderboard for 2 years, or, you know, the best part of 2 years. You were the first real newbie to come into the community and smash it. You know, there were other people on the leaderboard. They were quite experienced. They'd been with either Stuart or Jay before this company was formed. And I was like, come to Melbourne, I really want to meet you. And you just bared your soul and were like, you know what, it's tricky logistically.
Maybe don't come to Melbourne. That's probably what you were thinking. You know, I do remember.
And you said, you know, it was practicalities as well, but there was that you eventually peeled back another layer and you said, there's a part of me that doesn't want to be there because I'm not producing. And that's what I will never forget that, because that is exactly how I felt the day before Perth recently. And it was a very similar stage of the journey. I was like, I was a wreck. Justin Wolfe, who I don't think you even know now yet, you will, he just called me out on it. And it was like, he said, do you think no one else has gone through this? You know, you've got the results to prove, you've got so much evidence that you've got value to share. And it was so true. And I got back and the response I got from the community has been amazing. And it just got me thinking about you. And I was like, I wonder what, I knew that we'd sort of briefly spoken last year when I got to Australia. And I just thought, I'm not letting this go.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, I completely digressed. But I think that's where the connection came from for both of us. Because it was like, you know, we're not comparing. We've had very different experiences of what's happened. But all the same challenges have come up. And that's what I'd love to get into talking about with you.
I agree. Because there could be people out there in the community
there are
and then sort of their way, and you know, I can tell you that it's tough even today. I'm not gonna, you know, lie and say, hey, I'm on a recording like which Amy has posted on Facebook and therefore I'm officially back and you're gonna see me on the leaderboard next week. And I don't know what's going to happen to me, because quite frankly, I am still, in my opinion, if you compare when I was at my peak to now in terms of my mental, emotional, and just my internal stability at the moment, I am incredibly unstable. When I say unstable, I mean in all ways insecure. I am still scarred by so many things that I sort of went through. It's very difficult for me to sort of, I'll just be really honest here. It's really, really difficult for me to see the community in the same light as I used to, because as I was exiting, not exiting, my intention was really to take a break. It's just been a lot longer than I was than I'd actually intended on being. But I was exiting the business with the intention of taking the break, not feeling great about the community. Not that it's the community's fault in any way, shape or form. The community was very different back then, much smaller, by the way.
Yeah.
But I was at a point in my business where I felt that I was nourishing the community and giving so much back to the community. I just didn't think at the time that it was doing much for me.
Yeah.
Be really honest about that. And therefore it started to become, because I was sharing so much, you know, I was doing the 90-day video challenge and more. I was in there, I was motivating people, I was helping people, I was coaching people that were not people that I brought into the business. It really just burnt me out. Yeah. And the community that I once thought or felt was a source of energy and a source of inspiration and motivation and all that good stuff, became a source of stress. Yeah. A source of guilt, because I wasn't I felt like I stopped marketing completely because my heart just wasn't in it. And I wasn't bringing in the stuff that I used to bring in, and I felt like I was letting people down. So that brought about a lot of guilt. This isn't the only reason, by the way. Like, it's not just about the community. There was a whole bunch of other reasons why I needed to take a step back. But this was one of them. The community that, felt to me like it was once a source of energy and inspiration and everything positive became a very negative place to be. Yeah. And there were some people in the community who probably didn't really belong in the community, if you know what I mean. Like, didn't really fit the community, that have probably exited the community now anyway. Probably. Really, that I got into toxic conversations with. And when I say toxic, these people would talk to me about why the community and why the product that I believed in so much was a good product to promote or not a good product to be associated with. So it became a very toxic environment, and I needed a break from it all.
Yeah, for sure.
But now that I've spoken with you, now that I've had an authentic conversation with you, and I know how authentic you are, that's what you're all about, I miss the community. I really do. And that's why I'm on here.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how, and I want to thank you for helping me, because I didn't know how. And it's been the longest time that I've been meaning to get back into the community and reintroduce myself and, see who's there and how I can help. I just didn't know how. So I want to thank you for this platform, because...
Thank you. It's awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, to make it as productive for whoever is watching this.
For sure. Yeah. And I love that we've covered what we've covered already, because I think I love what you've just shared as well about what the community was like then. And, there was uncertainty. And I think, Stuart and Jay would be the first people to agree that, yeah, it was clunky. Everything about the product, and they were a startup, and they're still a very young company, and I think they would be the first people to agree that they're so grateful for the people that were around from day one, that we all had those moments, and as an affiliate for something in any whatever product or industry you choose to go in and be associated with, it's riding that wave, and that's, imagine what it's like for them. And it's given me a whole new appreciation, seeing how far we've all come and how far the company's come. It was clunky, and that's what we're so proud of now, is that the standard of people in the community and what it's attracting and where we're at is just, it's another world. And that's why I'm so excited for you. And I think it's a whole new chapter for everybody to see someone like you coming back and realizing just how valuable the community itself is, because whatever the product is, and whatever you do next, whether you continue to come back in and you're an affiliate for the business, or you go and do something else, and likewise for me, it's about how you got started, what the education gave you, the people it gave you. And again, just as a side note, I know Megan's watching, and she'll probably join us a bit later with some questions if there's anyone watching that's got questions, but we are like sisters, and we wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for the fact that you brought her in, and we live down the road from each other. And the friendships that you see being built in the community now, you haven't probably met anyone from Team Super Cool McCourse and Sauce yet. They are a branded group of friends.
Yeah.
And you will be an honorary member of, sorry?
What is it? Team Super Cool?
Super Cool McCourse and Sauce. It's a mouthful. We also recently launched Team Straya McDingo Flamin' Champions, which is the Australian slightly better version. They'll all shout at me for that.
I belong to that team.
Yeah, you can be an honorary member. That's the Australian contingent. So yeah, I jest, but it's amazing. Like the friendships and the community that has evolved. I think you'll be like welcome back with open arms, I'm sure. But all these things that you've overcome, I just kind of, every time you said something when we were on the phone, I was like, that's never going away. Like, that's all the stuff you've got to overcome to get started. It's never going away. You don't arrive. Like, life happens, and it's a privilege, but also it's also a case of, what is your definition of leadership? Because sometimes leaders also need to be led. And whatever people coming into this, if they're brand new and they come in and they see, that if there's any sense of entitlement or expectation about the person that introduced you to the community, that's not the product. Everybody here has access to the same product, the same community, the same tools, the same training. Some people go and smash it. Some people do not. Some people dip in and dip out, and they come to events. And that's fine too. Some people do what we did and they get the results, and then life happens and they detach a bit and then they come back. And some people just pay all this money and they get involved, and then the fire burns out and they never come back. And I just think there's a huge amount of people in that last category that don't come back out purely out of all the things we're talking about, because they don't overcome that sense of oh, well, I was in there and I was visible, and now, like, what am I going to look like if it's taken me 4 years to actually do something with it? Because that's okay too.
That's okay.
And the people that are here are totally fine with that, and have your back. And I think that's what you're about to discover. I've absolutely discovered it. I think there's a lot of people who've yet to discover that, but just, I want to give them the reassurance that, you know, it's not about coming in. And Jay Williams talked about this in Perth. He said on stage when he first got started, all he wanted was to be friends with Stu and Jay. And he got stuck with me. But it's true. They are our mentors. They've shown what's possible. They've created this thing, but what's coming out of it is just so much more. So if that's all right with you, I want to kind of just skip back a bit to where you were at, to get in into a bit more of a practical chat for anyone who's either just got started or is watching this and thinking about joining the community. Where were you at when you discovered SFM? And like what was your scenario? Because what I love about you is so different, and what I think a lot of people inside the community need to hear is that you made shit happen with a small budget. And you got it in terms of connecting with an audience. And I think that's something that, you know, a lot of people can come in and go, yeah, I'm going to jump on YouTube or Facebook with a big budget and make stuff happen. And actually, it's not difficult to do that. But what you really did was attract the most incredible people who were just like you, with the best content, with very little money. And I think everyone wants to hear that. So you go. Floor is yours.
Okay. So when I first got started with the SFM, like you said, I had no money. Mm-hmm. My husband was completely against what I was doing. He didn't believe in the opportunity. He was, you know, like many people, very traditional in their way of thinking. So, and prior to me discovering the SFM, I had actually been scammed $4,000 from some dodgy mob that I associated myself with. So yeah, I joined the SFM 2012. It was the end of 2012.
Gosh, was it that long ago? Wow.
2012. And I came in from a place of, shit, it's so hard to go back there. But look, I don't know how I was feeling back there. It's really, really difficult to remember. What I know is that I had a burning desire to really make it work, because I had lost my identity to motherhood, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that I'm mum and that's it.
Yeah.
And I really wanted it to work for me and my family, right? So the hunger was there, and I went through the training. Now back then, it was honestly, compared to now, it was shit. It was shit.
It's true.
It was, because they were
basic.
Jay hadn't even been in the picture yet. It was like SFM had only just started. The real selling point of the SFM back then was the community, right? So join the community. The community was very, very supportive. But in terms of what was in the back office, it's very different to what it even was when I left, right? I don't know what it's like now. I'm sure it's awesome. But anyway, I had such a burning desire to make things work and to prove to my husband that I could contribute in the way that I used to when I was working. I was making okay money when I was working full time. I was a financial advisor, so I was making close to 6 figures anyway. But from 6 figures to zero, I really wanted him to see that, look, I can do this. Without his support, without much money, I gave up things like, I started dyeing my own hair. You know, I quit the gym. I didn't drink good coffee for ages. But anyway, saved up a little bit of money and really focused on learning, not the tactics, because the tactics, they'll come and go. You know, Facebook can shut down. YouTube will shut down. I don't know what's going to happen with any of it. Things change all the time within the platform. So it's not about me learning how to use the advertising platforms. My focus was to learn the principles behind resonating with people. Because not for 1 second, even back then, even when I knew nothing, I was totally crap with technology too. Still kind of am. I don't think I'll ever be in that place where I can fully say, hey, I'm great at tech, right? I mean, this Zoom thing that we're doing now, this is all still very amazing to me.
And it took me 15 minutes to work it out, and I do know what I'm doing with it, apparently.
But I mean, I'm saying I had literally no skills behind me in this business, no money, because I wasn't making any money. The only money I had was the little allowance that I got from my husband to do things like get my hair done every, I don't know, like 3 months, 6 months, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Living on his income, which honestly was not big. It was smaller than what I was earning when I was working.
Yeah.
So anyway, I digress. I focused on how to really connect with people, because even back then, not for 1 second did I believe that I could promote anything, number one, that I didn't really believe in. And number two, that people wouldn't truly resonate with. Because I knew back then that whilst there was, you know, when you think about business, you kind of think, how am I going to outdo my competitors, right? Like one of the questions that I had in my mind was, how many affiliates are there? Because I'm going to be competing with all these affiliates in getting sales, which is not true, by the way, because anyway.
No, but I'm glad you said that, because I think it's a common block.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I realized back then that it wasn't about like competing with anybody. It was about your ability to really connect. Because in any product or any industry, there's going to be the same kind of product or something of anything. And it's your ability not to compete with the people who are selling the same thing, but your ability to compete with the other things in their life that makes a difference.
Yeah.
What you're promoting and how you say it and how you present it needs to be better than the person who's selling them their dream car. So you're competing with a holiday that they've been planning for 12 months. You're competing with the dream car that they've been saving up for. You're competing with the education that they're putting money away for their children for. That's who you're competing. Like that's your real competition. You're competing with the other things that's happening in their life. Anyway, again, I'm going out of topic here, but
no, you're not. It's 100% on topic.
Well, it's true.
It is.
I realized back then that it wasn't about learning the advertising platforms. There's traffic everywhere you go. There's traffic. It's the internet. Doesn't like people say Facebook is the best way. YouTube, sure. I'm sure that's all true, right? That's probably where the most relevant traffic is, and that's probably where I'll get started too. But in saying that, there's traffic anywhere you go. And I've proven that you can succeed in any platform, because when I got started, actually all my success didn't come from Facebook at all. I still, to this day, have never mastered Facebook. I don't know anything about Facebook. I never did, right? I tried, but it was too much. Like it was just too complicated.
I remember some of our conversations about it.
Yeah, like, oh, screw this, you know, retargeting codes and anyway, all too much. I like to do things simply. So I focused on how am I going to connect, because no matter where I am, I actually ended up getting my first taste of success from contacting a small blog, a mummy blog. And I said, listen, can I just write for your audience? And it was in the writing, not even in the writing, because it's not like I can write, but it was in the construction of my message that I really became successful. I think a lot of people said to me that I was lucky. I don't think I was lucky at all. And they say I was lucky because I never actually lost money on a campaign. Believe it or not. I hate
that word. Lucky is the worst word in the English language.
The only time I lost there was one time I lost money, and it was a very disappointing loss because it was actually at my peak. I invested in a vehicle with a bunch of people. And I said, I'm going to lead people through this marketing campaign, and I'm going to help everybody gain so much success from it. But because my headspace wasn't right, it wasn't a success at all. I lost $11,000. No, sorry. The campaign lost $11,000. I lost about $6,000 out of that.
Right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Lost. But prior to that, when I was a newbie, when I was getting started, my campaigns were always very cheap and always very profitable because of the fact that I focused not on the technicalities of the ad, but rather the message that was behind what I was saying and targeting the right people. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about blasting.
Yeah.
getting as many eyeballs as I could. I was focused on getting the right eyeballs on my landing page and the right message being on the landing page to filter straight away. So that was my focus. I focused on content marketing, and I think that's probably my forte. It's been my forte, and it will continue to be my forte, I think. I probably will attempt Facebook and YouTube and whatever else is out there again. But yeah, that's where I was when I was getting started. That was the mindset that I had. And I guess, if anything, I'm fortunate that I had that within me from the very beginning, because if I had focused on tactics, I really don't think I would have gotten anywhere.
No.
I really don't.
Okay.
So, and that's why I'm confident that when I decide to promote SFM again, which I'll talk about in a sec, there were some questions in my own head about whether or not I was going to do it. I want to ask you if you're experiencing the same thing. What was I saying? Oh my God. So when I get back into promoting it, I won't be focusing so much on tactics.
No way.
Because they don't matter.
They don't.
Doesn't matter what platform you get on. You've got to focus on how you deliver your message and what your message really is. It's got to be perceived as good enough to compete. If they're going to part with their $29, how much is the app now? I don't know.
Same. Still the same.
If they're going to part with their $29 or their 30 grand, how much is Black now? Is it the same?
Up there, yeah. US.
If they're going to part with that money, your message needs to be compelling enough to take those funds that they've allocated towards their holiday, their car, whatever, instead, and instead of spending it on that, spend it on the education and the community that we're selling.
Yeah.
That's going to be my take forever. That's just going to be my position. No matter what I decide to promote.
Yeah.
Whether I create I don't know where I'm going from here, but I think that's going to be timeless, and that's going to result in success every single time.
That's the word I wrote down was timeless. I think you said it the other day. Like it is a timeless, evergreen skill set. It's insight. It's understanding people, and this is the thing. It's like that's why I got what I got last year, because that flows into the other areas of your life. You know, when you get better at communicating, when you get better at building relationships, it's not going to not affect you in your personal life. And it was that journey and spending more quality time with my family. And I had amazing relationships with my stepfather and my grandmother. So when they actually passed away, it was this light bulb of there was nothing unsaid, which is where last year came from, or what I shared came from, because it's so much bigger than just the business. But I don't want to digress into that, because we're talking practical stuff. And I refer to it as the skills that pay the bills, because when you apply it to an affiliate model that's high ticket, it's extremely profitable, but it's also a skill. It's the first thing you need to have mastered if you're going to go and sell anything else, including your own products. I know your husband was working, he had the e-commerce business for a while, didn't he?
Yeah. So, I mean, what happened with my husband was when my business started taking off, and it was obviously overtaking his income. He hated his job back then. We got to a point where I said, well, just resign. And so he did. And he intended on recreating what I had done by, starting his own business.
Yeah.
He didn't succeed. And I was telling him exactly what I was doing. He was my husband. He could see everything I was doing.
Yeah.
He didn't succeed. But I don't know if you want to really talk. Do you want to? I
do, because I think what your husband went through, what you shared about his journey back into work, would be golden. I think because a lot of people, whether it's with a partner or themselves, in terms of thinking they want to be an entrepreneur, or they think they want their own thing, and the journey that can end up looking like through the lessons you learn. So I'd love you to share that if you're willing to.
This is one of the biggest lessons that I've taken away from the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, he had all the funding. My business was carrying the family, plus providing us with savings, and he didn't need to work at all. So started his own e-commerce business, and his heart just wasn't in it. And I think that's the reason why he didn't succeed. He knew all the marketing strategies. I'd paid for Black. I'd paid for a whole bunch of other educational courses from amazing entrepreneurs. I'm talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of amazing training that he had.
Yeah.
But his heart just wasn't in it. And what he came to learn out of the 2 years, what he did get out of the 2 years was a whole bunch of personal development, right? So he had the opportunity to immerse himself in personal development because he wasn't working. He was trying to make his business work. And he realized that entrepreneurship just wasn't for him. I'm not going to say he wasn't cut out for it, because I think he's an incredibly intelligent person. And incredibly skilled, and he has many, many strengths. But entrepreneurship wasn't for him. We learned together that entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. So how long did he take off? He took off about 2 years. He started working again last year. And he did that out of choice. And every single day, I'd be listening to founders calls and what do you call them?
Visionary calls now. Oh.
Yeah, but no, the new one, when you're a new member and
orientation member OC.
The one that, people share their ideal days.
Yeah.
I used to listen to these things at 5 a.m. and he'd be in bed sleeping. I'd go, hey, mate, listen to this. Look at this person. Listen to their dream day. You know how they get to share the dream day or ideal day?
Yeah.
Your ideal day is exactly what you've got now. And yet he was miserable. He was miserable because he could not handle a day without someone telling him what to do. He needed a boss.
Yeah.
And it was me. Because if it was like if I tried to tell him what to do, he'd just want to kill me. And
that's not good.
No. So anyone else but me in terms of telling him what to do. But I mean, we discovered it just wasn't for him. As a result, he did go out and find a job. But this time, it was his dream job. And he tripled his income in a span of 2 years. And he'd taken those 2 years, he'd literally jumped from one job that paid a certain amount to another job with a 2-year gap, and tripled his income.
Crazy.
Because of that self-discovery that he went through in those 2 years that he wasn't working. And all of that was made possible by my business, even though I wasn't working for 2 years. So going back to what, how I said to you that I wanted to make a comment about whether or not what I'm going to do from here. I thought about it because I've now got some skills to I guess, create a product of my own. I've seen a whole bunch of products out there outside of the SFM. I've been mentored by some other people.
Yep.
And I think that not promoting SFM would really be a disservice. It's not the best product. It's not perfect. No, nowhere near perfect, but there's no product that is perfect, to be honest with you. And I've seen a lot.
And I think we have to admit at that point as well that our own product will be far from perfect as well.
Oh,
and
sure.
It comes with a whole lot of headache that when it's your own as well.
Exactly.
So you need to know that you're ready for that.
That's right. And even me now, I started this in 2012. And mind you, in the last 3 years that I've not been in business at all, I've been a consumer of products.
Yeah.
I've continued to learn. Creating your own product is not as easy as what it would be made out to be. Now, that's mindset stuff, right? Because what you think is easy is really up to you.
Yeah.
In my experience, it's really not easy. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. Having a product like SFM to promote, that's a blessing. An absolute blessing. Anyway, but I was saying whether or not I'm going to start promoting it again. Of course I am. I can't not, because it would be an absolute disservice. The truth is this: the product is not perfect. Stuart and Jay know that.
They would fully admit that. Yeah.
Innovation is always going to be needed in any product, so they're going to continue to innovate, right?
They have, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I despite its imperfections, I can't not promote it, because the truth is that I made a killing with it. I really did. Not anymore. I mean, You do have to
making money.
work on your business for it to continue to grow.
Yeah.
Stop working on your business like I did, it will decline.
Same, exactly the same for me. But the fact is, it's still been an income, right?
It's still an income. I can't believe it. It's been 3 years and it's still providing me recurring income. And it's just an absolute blessing. And I can't with my clean conscience not put that out there. And I can't not spread the word about it, because where would I be without SFM? That's the absolute truth. I could say, I watched a training by Brendan Burchard and his product had this and the SFM's doesn't. The boot camp hasn't changed, blah, 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 right? But is it converting, and has it not provided me with a passive income for doing nothing in the last 3 years? Yes, it bloody well has. So how can I not promote it? How can I not? How can I not spread the word about how amazing it is and how life-changing it is? Because of SFM, I started 2012, stopped 2015, and here we are 2018. But because of SFM, my son, who goes to a special autistic school, actually goes to that school, and we can afford it. Yeah, my husband works. Of course, that helps. But we had to make the commitment to get him in there way before he started working. And I would never have even had the confidence to apply for such a school if I had not been earning that money. Does that make sense? So how can I not promote?
Yeah, more than you realise. I know one person in particular that will be resonating with a lot right now.
Yeah. A lot of people coming into the community who are new, who have not experienced
yeah, exactly,
life-changing income, will be questioning whether or not it's worth promoting. And I think my answer to that question, for anyone watching who is wondering, yes, it's worth promoting, but you've got to promote it the right way. There is a business system that SFM, I don't know if it's still the same. I've not been in the back office to check the modules and whatever.
The basics are the same. There's a lot of extra training and partnerships that have happened, which we'll talk about, but the fundamentals are exactly the same. And like you said, it's not about that. It's about how you connect.
That's right. It's about how you connect. To be honest, I found it really difficult to follow the business system, not because the business system wasn't simple, but because I'm a complicated person. I'm complex.
You're so special.
I'm a complicated person, and I just have a tendency. I can't help myself. I need to go in the polar opposite direction of where everyone else is. I want to tone that results a bit, because you've got to give credit where credit is due. For the people who have succeeded in doing the things that are mainstream now,
yeah,
I mean, there's obviously something to be said about that.
Yeah.
That's why I've got to cut it down a little bit, because there's something about proven systems that you just can't deny.
Yeah.
And I think of maybe a healthy combination of your own spin on things, but using the guidance of the system, I think is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, see, I've got this tendency, hey, this is why we talk for hours, because we can never stick to bloody topic. I don't even remember where we were coming from.
All right, this is not an ad video. It's fine.
What were we talking about?
We were promoting it, your confidence in promoting the product, and why you couldn't not. And I'm exactly the same. Like, it's, and I think to try and go full circle back to the topic of the video is, I think it's great us all saying this, because, you know, you've got the results and you can say all that. A massive question when people come in is like, well, how do I promote it? I know what my answer is, but I'd be keen to hear what yours is. How do I promote it with that kind of passion and energy when I haven't had the results, when I haven't experienced that? So, you know, they're not at that point. What would you say to them?
I would say, do what I did. Okay. So I also came from I used to be in the sidelines. See, prior to discovering SFM, my life was led by fear.
By fear?
Yeah. I was always a spectator.
Yeah.
So what I used to do was sit in the sidelines and be afraid to even go out there and promote, thinking, how am I going to do that when how am I going to go tell everybody that SFM is so great when I haven't been making the money? You know, I just promoted it and not made it about me. I went and promoted. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I do.
Why do you have to go and tell everyone I'm broke? So please join the SFM. You know, it's not about you. It's about the other person. It's about the person you're reaching out to. So no, don't, if you really have to go there and promote results, go promote Stuart's. Who's on the leaderboard now? Look at their results. I used to just promote the results that other people got until such time I got my own. And I was just completely honest about it. But I was beginning in my journey and I was so inspired by these people that I joined this community, and it's opened my eyes to a whole new life, and it's changed my life. Don't focus on the money. Believe it or not, most of the people who I've actually brought into the business, and I brought in over, oh my God, it's hard to know how many members you have, but I've got pages and pages and pages and pages of members. Not to brag, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
Well over 400, I don't know. Well over hundreds, hundreds of people. And I've spoken to every single one of those people about why they joined. None of them said money. They did say money eventually in the conversation, but most of them at the end of the day weren't just looking for money. So you don't have to come from a point of view of talking about you're going to get these results and earn this kind of money. You can go about it a different way. Look at the problems that they're facing in their everyday life and really think about the root of those problems. You were saying the other day, right, that I can't remember the details of that broadcast.
I do.
One night, I needed to broadcast. I had nothing to broadcast about. You know, you kind of have a brain, like I had a brain freeze. I'm thinking, what am I going to write about today? So I decided to, write about my little girl. She was like, 4 at the time. And she started this disgusting habit of picking her nose and eating it. Yeah, I mean, that really bothered me a lot. Like that did not sit well with me. Anyway, so I wrote about that. And it wasn't about me solving the picking problem. It was about me resonating with someone who was having that same problem and then spinning it around so that you could talk about the freedom and the flexibility to be able to be present and really address issues like this. And then I started talking about what I was doing and how I'm a full-time mum and how I felt bad for others who may not even know, because my daughter had told me at the time that everyone at preschool does it. And I'm thinking, does everyone at preschool really do it? Because if so, then how come none of the other mums are addressing it or are obsessing about it like me? But anyway, I digress again.
No, it's relevant.
My broadcast got me a gold sale. It was just one gold sale. I had minimal, I had minimal response to the thing. But the bottom line is it resonated with one person.
The right person.
The right person who went and purchased gold. So, I mean, that's what I mean. It's like you don't have to talk about you and your results to attract people into this business. You just have to look at them and think about how this will benefit them and their life and their dreams for the future. That's what I would say. I'm sure that there are people kind of listening to that thinking, oh, that's too that's too fluffy. Get to the real shit, get to how do you really do it? That's it.
That is it.
Yeah, there's no secret. That's it. Don't make it about you. If you're concerned about that, if you're insecure about promoting it because you haven't had the results, then you're thinking about it the wrong way.
Because plenty of people have.
It's not even your product. You can brag about it because it's not your product.
Yeah.
So just brag about other people or brag about what it's done for you outside of the monetary side of things.
Yeah. And why you're doing it, because it's the same, if you attracted someone in on that basis, what they can then talk about is why, like, well, which is what works.
Yeah.
and that for me now is, you know, a big message for me is exactly what we started the conversation with, and the people and the community, because how many people are going through life not doing things because of what their parents say or what their friends say, and they've got this thing and they don't even bring it up because of what it might do to the conversation at a dinner party, or, you know, and it's
fear. It's
really fear. It's what you look. What am I going to look like? And when you peel all that away, we're back to the authenticity thing. It's like no one really cares because they're also all concerned about themselves. So if you're going to put a marketing message together, who do you want to be concerned with? Marketing is the skill of going outside of that, which is what I just think you're so good at. And I'm glad you brought up the nose picking blog, because I was going to if you didn't.
It was by far the most bizarre. Like it amazed me so much, because it was one of those nights where I really had nothing to write about, you know. And I typed this story up about my daughter. It was authentic. That's the other thing.
No, was it? Tell me that.
It was real. It was a real thing. And the key is turning your real things into messages that will resonate with the other person, that is relevant. Don't dilute your message by talking about just any shit, you know. Talk about something that is real, but then don't dilute your message. Know what your message really is. What is it? Why are you doing this? What are you trying to tell people? How are you going to serve by promoting the SFM? What is this going to do for them? Don't dilute that with telling stories. Is a great way to resonate with people, but don't dilute your message by telling a pointless story just for the sake of it. You've also got to connect it somehow. And I think that's what skill I invested time in learning that got me some really good results. And I think that's what people need to do. If you were to ask me anyway, my humble opinion is learn how to tell a story, know your message, be clear about it, and then learn how to connect it together so that it's a nice, relevant message to what you're promoting.
Yeah, completely. Megan's just said in the chat, I'm remembering all the reasons I clicked on your ad right now. Exactly the same. I'm hoping her kids aren't still picking their noses and eating it, but we'll see.
I'm also hoping there are no kids like watching, because this was supposed to be an authentic conversation.
I should have started at the beginning. I love what one of the podcasts I listen to regularly is Elizabeth Gilbert, and she always starts them by saying, please remember these are adults having adult conversations, so there might be adult language. So belated disclaimer. Yeah, I don't think we've had any F-bombs, which was good, because I was feeling like I might let you slip at one point. Yeah. I'm just scrolling through some brain dump that I put in my notes on my phone yesterday when I was thinking about talking to you, but just to kind of wrap things up, it's so awesome. I think we've completely recreated everything we've been talking about, which is brilliant. So in terms of feeling like you're in the wilderness, like I heard that it was actually a meetup I went on in Coffs Harbour recently with quite a few of our newer community members, and it was, shout out to Ben, he was the one that said it, and he's only been around for a few months, and it's so easy to just slip out. Yeah. And that's why I kept thinking of you, because of anyone that had results and then has been, you know, absent for such a long time. Like, how are you feeling now, even just after this chat? I mean, I'm so frustrated that I didn't get to do this on Facebook Live, because we'd have feedback from people. And if you are watching on Zoom, there's only 5 or 6 people right now. The time zones probably aren't great for the States and Europe, but feel free to chuck any feedback in. But how are you feeling now, and where do you think you're at? And there's no obligation. And if anyone messages you, you're not obligated to message them back or anything like that, or show up for more interviews or anything like that. But where are you feeling that you're at with the community, and how it's changed, and what do you think's next?
You know, I was saying to you the other day that one of the hesitations I had in coming on a call like this,
yeah,
you'd be recording it,
yeah,
is that as a person I've changed. I've changed a lot in the last 3 years. I've gone through some pretty traumatic things. it's like, you know, I love what you called it, the wilderness, because that's exactly what it really feels like. I feel like I'm totally lost. And me saying this now, knowing that some people are going to maybe watch this and listen to the fact that I'm saying I'm lost, it's really scary. It's really scary. I'm really vulnerable at the moment because I feel like I'm not the same person I was, but that's a self-imposed emotion and that's a self-imposed state of mind. It's really confusing because in my journey to success, I immersed myself in personal development. I worked on my mindset like it was the most important thing, and it was, and it still is.
Absolutely.
But when I stopped, it was because everything was becoming so overwhelming around me. There were so many things happening in my personal life that I could not take anymore. I lost who I was. I became a person I couldn't recognize.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anybody, my negativity and the things that I was feeling, I didn't want that to infiltrate anybody's. I didn't want to be around their energy knowing full well that I was a rotten apple that couldn't. I still don't feel like I'm 100% back to the way I was. And so when you say, how am I feeling now? I feel like I'm starting from scratch. And my husband keeps telling me, and I listen to it, and, you know, I believe him, is that, what he keeps telling me is that I am still the same Marie Santos that I was, the person who is a multiple six-figure earner and someone who earns a shitload of money. I'm not saying I earn a shitload of money now. I'm saying that's who I was. I feel disconnected to that person, but that's still who I am. And whether or not I decide I'm that person or I decide that I'm a newbie again and I don't know anything, and that's really up to me. My challenge now is to work on that mindset again, to get me back and to realize and wake up to the fact that this is really all just a dream. I've got to wake up from this and just become the person that I was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Become the person that I was, because I've got the ability to do that. I haven't, I'm not a different person. I might feel like I am.
Yeah.
I'm that same person. But admittedly, I am feeling really scared. I'm feeling very vulnerable. This kind of feels a little bit like day one of my video challenge.
I'm so glad you said that.
I just, you know.
Well, it can be if you want it to be. Get back in there.
Bloody, what time is it? It's been an hour and 15 minutes. This is not going to be my day one. I've learned some things along the way that I don't think I'll ever lose. You know what I mean? Like I'm still not back to where I was in 2012. My standards for service have, you know, increased phenomenally since then. And I think what's great about me having taken the last 3 years off is the fact that I've been a consumer for 3 years.
Yes.
I have a lot more insight into what service should be. When I get back into my business, I know exactly what it's like from the eyes of the consumer. When I was in business and I was at the peak, it was really difficult to do that because I was like, I'm the service provider. I'm the one writing the content. I'm the one doing the promotions. I'm the proprietor, right? But having been a consumer and nothing more than a consumer for the last 3 years has really helped me. I think I'm going to be coming into it with a fresh pair of eyes because I've had that break. So I'm scared. Back to the way I'm feeling. I'm scared. I am vulnerable. I'm insecure, but I know I can very easily turn that around if I decide to. So the challenge is me making the decision. I'm really proud of myself for having done this because
so am I. My God.
I'm not ready. You know what
Thank you.
I wasn't ready.
No, and I think that's really important, a really important thing to know, like to note to people, because you know, you're nearly 6 years into being from scratch, really from scratch, when you discovered SFM. And everything you're sharing resonates with me. I'm sure it resonates with someone who is brand new. And that's the point. It never stops. You don't arrive. Like, if you're going to get into this, this is what it's like. It's called life. Like, life is...
I was thinking about this as well. When after we spoke, I thought about what value could I possibly bring a newbie, you know, because someone who's coming in will have a lot of, oh no, sorry. I think I've just cracked something on my, sorry. Anyway, the heavens don't open and singing angels don't come down. You've made it, you know, you've made it, you're good. It doesn't happen.
No.
You compare, if I personally was to compare the way that I felt at the peak of my success compared to when I was getting started, to be honest with you, wasn't really all that different. Wasn't all that different.
No.
I had bigger challenges. It was just the same issues, but on a different scale.
Exactly.
So yeah, the heavens don't open, angels don't come flying down, stuff. You don't change that much. My advice would be to be grateful for the journey. Be grateful for the level you're in right now, because it doesn't change. Just be grateful, because that gratitude is what's going to bring you the success. One thing I remember that I stuck to religiously when I was happy back prior to my issues that I sort of faced 3 years ago, was that I was grateful every single day. And it started spiraling down, like my mental state.
Yep.
Started spiraling down when I lost touch with that gratitude work.
Yep.
Also, to work on your financial thermostat from the day dot, because I think that's where my problems really got all fucked up. I think that's when I got.
Boom! Yes, I knew we'd get one out of you.
And the call without, Anyway, that I think that in hindsight, when I really look at my journey and where it all spiraled down, the beginning of my, I don't want to say end, story's far from finished, but the beginning of when I started to really decline in my performance and my motivation and all that, I think I got to a point where I must have hit my financial ceiling, because I'll tell you what happened. Like I said, it wasn't just, how I was talking about the community before and how it became a source of stress and stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't the community.
No.
It ended up being the community only because of other things that took place. Okay. So, for example, for some reason, I had accumulated a really good handful of traffic sources. Like, these traffic sources were a gold mine for me, and they were very cheap, very high quality. I lost all of them.
Yeah.
One blog owner decided to close her blog, like just wasn't going to be in business anymore. Another one who was the Female Entrepreneur Association.
Yes.
I was there. I was in partnership with the female entrepreneur. They were allowing me to promote to their audience. So Carrie Green decided that she was no longer going to advertise for anybody. She just decided it's not the model that we want to do. We're not going to do banners. Like, I did a banner with them, and that was so cheap and so profitable that I lost her. I lost another blog that just decided that they weren't going to go down the affiliate marketing route. They just didn't want to be associated with that sort of business anymore. And that's fair enough. Bottom line is this: I lost them all. I lost all my traffic sources. Mum started to get really ill. Not that I'm blaming, my financial thermostat.
No, not at all.
I'm just saying that so many things in my life started to happen that negatively impacted my state of mind and my emotional state when I hit my financial like when I got to the top of my financial thermostat, things really started to crumble down.
Yeah.
And I really truly believe that. And I think that if I could go back, I probably would have invested more time, and should still now invest more time in working on increasing that financial thermostat.
Module 2.
Okay.
Module 2.
Module 2. Fantastic. Okay, there you go. Do it. That module wasn't there when I started. But I mean, I knew about it. Obviously, I had done some work on it. Coming from zero to that was work, but I hit it. I hit it. And I think that I really think that the difference between people who attempt to do something like attempt to market the SFM and don't succeed. And those that attempt to do it and succeed really is that financial thermostat. Because they believe they believe that earning a certain amount of money is not a miracle. It's like it's going to happen because it's possible, because I really believe that in my heart, and that's just my thermostat, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, I've had so many people who I have personally coached. Yeah. And I've literally told them everything I'm doing. And I've said to them, go for your life and copy everything I've done word for word. Here's my landing page. Here's the article. Here's the here's the formula for my success. Here it is. There you go. Right?
Mm.
And they've done it and they've not gotten anything. They've not had any success with my success formula. It's really a difference in thermostat, because I've already experienced that it works, and I felt the return from it. They had not. They didn't really believe it was possible.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Whereas I did because it happened already. So financial thermostat, I think that was my downfall. It wasn't, I got to it and then it just came crashing down.
And you were to me, like, you, for so many people, purely in an SFF, I mean, everything you've said is brilliant, beautiful, golden advice, which is why, I don't know, module 2 has always been the mindset module, but maybe when you first started it wasn't there, but it's all the Stuart Lichtman stuff, the subconscious programming stuff.
I think Stuart Lichtman was sort of introduced
a bit later
in the community with Jay, when Jay came in.
Yeah, true. But I think what I love what you've just said about the financial thermostat and proving, because you were the financial thermostat for so many of us at the time, because you broke these thresholds. And I think, you look at someone like the Lifestyle team, or at the time it was just the 2 boys, Chris and Gerard, they always talk about you, and they have done that for us now, to the point that, when you get refamiliarized with the community and you'll start seeing some of these names, like, there's multiple people out there now doing 20, 30, 40, 50 to 100,000 a month regularly. Like, the proof is there. So it's like I was reading, what was it? Expert Secrets, I think, the Russell Brunson book. And he gives the example of the 1 minute mile. Roger Bannister, like, no one thought you could, and it's only until someone else does it. And we've got multiple examples of them within the community. So even if you don't like reading, or you don't want to go through all that, there's people doing it. Just watch them. Yeah. Like, it's possible, it's happening. And that's what's so powerful coming back now for me, is that, yeah, I made a certain level, and everything you've just said, like, life happened and it distracted me, and it, you go from a place as well, you can go through this roller coaster of, but what if I lose it? What if I don't repeat it? And it's like, that doesn't change the fact that you can. And you find all the reasons you can't do something, rather than focusing on all the reasons that you can. And more importantly, if you've already done it before, what's your problem? I have these conversations with myself out loud, which I've shared with people before. There's a name for her, and you've now got your name for yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inspired by this thing that I think it's brilliant.
It's really powerful.
It really is. And Marina, she's my other self.
Yeah.
I thought about, this alter ego, this person who, what's that? Oh, okay. Sorry. I just saw a comment.
People commenting. Don't worry. We'll go back. Megs is just saying she loves it.
Marina is the person who is full of what I call shadow values. And
I was about to ask you about those.
Yeah, shadow values has changed my life. I learned about it from, he's Aussie. You should look him up. His name's Ben Harvey.
Okay.
And he talked about shadow values, and these values are the opposite of what he calls the golden values. The golden values are, my values of freedom and love and service and all the things, right? I mean, they're great.
Yes, of course.
Shadow values are the ones you'd be embarrassed of, but they are, they're undeniably in every single one of us. So my biggest shadow value is superiority. I love it when I'm superior to someone. I just love it. And I mean, that's terrible, right? It's terrible.
No, it's brilliant. I love that you're sharing this. I was hoping you would.
Like, why I get triggered sometimes by my husband. And shadow values are the reason why people and things trigger you, because they're within you. And for example, my husband, when he tells me something about my business, right? Like, oh, we got to do a spreadsheet and we got to look at the customer acquisition value and whether or not this business is still worth your money and worth your time.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming because he's got his MBA and whatever else, right? So he comes to me from that perspective, and I feel like I want to kill him because he's taking away my superiority over my business.
How
I
dare he?
I'm talking to him about my business, thank you very much. And so whenever he talks like that, I get really triggered because I need to be superior, right? Same with, there's superiority, there's, validating. Like you don't want to feel invalidated, right? Validation is a shadow value. And when someone ignores you or makes you feel like you're not valid, you get really triggered. No one wants to admit it. But anyway, these are shadow values, the things that you don't want to admit because they're supposedly bad. You don't want to admit that you like attention. You don't want to admit that you want to be superior and that, you want to be, these things, right? These
successful and
there. So Marina is all of that, but she's me as well. What I love about understanding my shadow values is becoming self-aware and understanding that I don't need to stop being that. It's okay to feel like you want to be superior. It's okay to want to be on a pedestal. It's okay because it's the truth. Authentically, that's what's going on in your head, right? But you are self-aware to the point where you can work around it and catch yourself, especially when you're being triggered by someone. If you see somebody and they're triggering you, maybe they're getting result. Like say, I remember I used to watch these 90-day video challenge videos, and I used to get triggered by people who were getting results, pure jealousy. But I was triggered because they were taking away my superiority. But once I became aware of my shadow values, it was like, stop, what are you doing? You're feeling negative and you're attracting more negativity because you need to feed your ego and you need to be superior. Stop. And it helps, just being aware, not to fight it, just know it's there.
And owning it and being authentic about it. And yeah, it's huge. And
we all do it. Come on. We're all bitches. Like we're all, we all have shadow values.
Yeah, and I think, but relating it back to the business as well, for anyone, who's doesn't want to come back because they're not on the leaderboard. And it's like, you could, the way things are right now, and I said this a couple of years ago when I first just got started and I was on the leaderboard, it's like, just because someone's on the leaderboard, your story about that is bullshit because you don't know how much they've made, you don't know how much they've spent, it doesn't mean they're in profit. And I've not been on the leaderboard and been making 20 grand a month and more. So get a grip of your ego, decide whether or not that's really, you've got to go through the journey to figure out whether or not that's what you're heading for and what you're basing your goals on. Because like you said, it comes with a whole new set of challenges. You get a lot of messages, you get a lot of attention, and it's all great. And Marie, there's a whole heap of challenges that you then have to get authentic about again. Like, am I going to go to an event because I'm not up there anymore? And I'm so glad that, it took, without the community and Justin, one of our mentors, being part of that. And if it hadn't been him, it would have been someone else. Someone else would have called me out on it and said, what the f*** are you doing? Like, shut up. You've got the results. We know. I don't need my name in lights. And actually, it's quite nice not getting anywhere near as many messages these days because I only felt guilty when I didn't respond to them because there were too many, as you probably did when you logged into Facebook for the first time in 2 years.
Oh,
it never stops, which is what we're saying, come out of the wilderness by all means, but do it knowing that you're just going to go through the same shit again on another level. And that is just the reality of, first of all, life, but also if you want this amazing life and you want the best of everything, then you've got to be prepared to balance that out with some struggles and things to overcome. And I think, right now we're both at a place where we can share that and just be like, yeah, it's real. But if you've done the work already, you're perfectly entitled to take that time and detach. And guess what? You've got an income, which is kind of handy, which is what I said in my video last night. Like, it's not everything, but it makes it a lot easier.
before you need to. I love it when you said that, because it's so true. Imagine if we hadn't. Imagine if we'd sat in the sidelines and been super frugal with our marketing budget, and not saying that you should go splurge on marketing without knowing what you not. It's a work in progress. Not saying that you shouldn't be smart about the way you do it, that you should just go splurge on it. But imagine if we had sat in the sidelines and allowed any fear to stop us from going out there and really doing this.
Yeah.
What would have happened? Like, I don't know what would have happened to me if that's 3 years that I didn't do anything because I physically couldn't. I was paralyzed by, I'm not going to label it, but some people call it depression.
Yeah.
I was paralyzed by this overwhelming sense of sadness and inadequacy and guilt and shame and just not being good enough and just feeling overall shit. And in some respects, I still feel a little paralyzed, but imagine if we hadn't, you know? So for anybody who is thinking about not going for this because they're scared, just my advice personally is look at our story. Imagine if we hadn't taken that action.
What's the alternative? Yeah.
And it's honest. It's honest. I'm being honest when I say that. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being all the things you said you were shitting yourself about being. Because I get it. I completely get it.
Another thing is the reason why I'm proud of it, proud of what we've just done now, is because I took a step before I was ready. And that's something I'd like for everybody to think about as well. I remember when I was getting started, I wasn't ready to do any of it, but I did it anyway, even if I wasn't ready. And I'm hoping that by me taking this step now, this will lead towards me taking more action.
Thanks.
You know, so I'm really proud of myself. I'm encouraging anyone who's holding back for no good reason. If you really think about it, do you really have a reason to hold back? If you don't have a real good reason to hold back, just take your steps. Start before you're ready. Because I remember when I did the 90-day video challenge, that changed my life. That was the thing that changed my life. But I did that before I was ready. So that's something that I think that's one fundamental thing that I'll continue to follow in my life, despite all the shit that's going on in my head. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to bring me out in this light. I really look back at the call that we've just had, like this time that we've spent together, and I really don't know what I've said. I honestly don't know what I've said.
All the right things. All the right things.
It doesn't matter. Even if later on, you know, as I'm driving to pick up my son from school, which I've got to do, I'll probably be thinking, oh, that was a shit call, Marie. You know, because that's what I do now.
Marina,
exactly. But that's what I do now. This is how vulnerable I am. This is how messed up I think I am. I'm in a place at the moment, you know, where nothing's good enough that I do. I'm coming out of it. I really am. And this is a really, really groundbreaking thing for me. I think what you've done to talk to me in this life. Anyway, but yeah, oh shit, here I go. I've forgotten what my
brain fart.
My point was start before you're ready.
Yeah.
And
before you're ready, yeah.
Was there another point? I really can't remember.
No, really, because it all comes down to that. Okay, there is.
I'll be thinking about what I've said in this call, and I'll be thinking about how shit I was and how I shouldn't have said that. I should have gone about it this way. But one thing that I'm hoping to inspire people to do is, despite that, I'm going to allow you to post it anyway. Because Hey?
Yay!
Okay. I'm going to allow you to post it because I want this to be the catalyst to my comeback. I really, I'm ready to be successful again. And I know that success is defined as something different in every one of us, right? But for me, success is actually doing something that, you know, the worthy ideal, your pursuit of the worthy ideal. If you're on that road and you're moving, I think you're successful. And that's why I don't think I'm successful now. Despite the fact that I've got a profitable business that's continuing to pay me money passively every month, I'm far from successful because I'm not pursuing it. I'm not moving. I'm sitting here doing nothing. I'm watching The Crown. It's so good.
Amen.
I'm sure you're not, because, you
No,
know.
I am. Everything you're saying, I completely resonate with, and that's what I love about the two of us doing this together, because we are at different longevity in the business, but exactly the same kind of pattern of what we're going through. And I think people need to understand that. So it's not, you don't need to abandon ship completely when stuff happens, because it will. And another thing from this podcast this morning was, life is not meant to be easy, because if it was easy, we wouldn't need each other. And as cheesy as that might be, like, it's so true. And I think ultimately, to try and wrap this up, I know you've got to go and pick up your children, but that is what you've got here. And I said it in Perth, I'll say it again, like, I would pay for Black 10 times over to have the people here. And I know I'm going to meet more of them. And so are you now. And that is so immeasurably invaluable to get you through the things you need to get through to be successful at this, whether that's financially, you know, the relationships you want or whatever, because it just all intertwines eventually anyway.
I'm hoping that people will also listen to this and realize that when you get to a point where you think you've made it, you could very well, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Because I saw myself as someone who was rather bulletproof, because I had spent all that time on personal development. I went to Tony Robbins and I did all kinds of things. Trust me, I meditated daily, and I thought to myself, I'm there. My mindset is so immune. Not the case.
No.
It will happen. I know that you and I could have probably, you know how they say, well, I say, and you probably will agree, that the way you perceive a situation is completely up to you. I could have seen all the things that happened to me in a different light, and my result today and where I am today could have been completely different.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. What's done is done, right? Mm-hmm. Bottom line is this: things will happen in your life no matter where you are. And if you think that you are immune once you reach the multiple 5 figures, multiple 6 figures mark, you're wrong.
Won't feel any different.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It really, that saying holds true, that doesn't really matter how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up. I could become successful again and get on the journey and start earning the multiple 7 figures, I don't know, right? But it could all disappear again. Invest in the skills to do marketing, not tactics. Because when I'm ready, when I decide to put out an ad again and start marketing again, I'm confident that I can pick up lead generation because of those things. So invest in those things rather than the tactics. The story. That's it. That's it from me.
You know, I think that's wrapping up everything we've covered. And honestly, thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. And I think it's incredibly brave given where you're at when we first spoke. And thank you. I think this will be invaluable. There's comments in the chat. Stephanie said, this has been unmeasurably amazing. I think that's why I just said unmeasurably. I stole her word because I saw it flash up. If that's even a valid phrase. Yes, it is. John said, thank you, Amy Marie. Amazing sharing insights. So good to see. Meg said she's so proud of you and I'm overjoyed to have you back. I just wish I got the technical crap sorted to do it on Facebook Live, but I will post it overnight. So by the time those who have missed out wake up, they'll have it. And yeah, thank you.
I'm not going to watch it, just for your information.
No, don't. All you will see is Marina.
That's right.
She'll come over and whatever. No, let's not do that.
I'm not going to allow anything that might make me feel bad about myself. I know all of this is self-inflicted. That's the thing. It's all self-inflicted.
Yeah.
That's a journey that I'm going through at the moment.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think you've just given a lot of people permission to have the same. So I'm going to wrap this up and get it posted before you change your mind. And
I really am.
Thank you.
I think about the times that we spoke 3 years ago in that little mastermind that we had, and you've come so far. I'm so proud of you, and look at you. I mean, I missed it all because I was away, but you're getting.
I can fill you in. I'm just glad that you're back with us, and in whatever capacity that looks like. And next time I'm in Sydney, I will be bashing your door down.
Okay.
Love you.
Bye.
Speak soon. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.